Hi friends, it's Kelly, and first I'm going to show you how I took Paige Evans' Splash Zone cut file and made the backing pieces for my project. So I've released the compound path to change it from one big cut file to a bunch of individual parts, and I've dragged away the outside line and I've erased it. I'm going to quickly go through and erase everything that's not a letter or a splash. And I didn't save the interior outlines in the A, P, O, or E. Now I'm going to collect a few of the pieces at a time and offset them so that I can glue them in behind the cut file. So I'm going to move them apart a little bit so that when I use the offset feature, they don't connect together. I'm going to group these pieces so they're easier to move after we offset them. And I'm going to offset them at 0.090. And that just leaves an itty bitty edge that will fall beneath the cut file, and you'll put glue on it and stick it in behind the cut file. So I've moved the original pieces and deleted them. Let's just color these so they're easier to see. I'm going to repeat the process. Learn by repetition, right? And again, I'm going to move them a little bit apart so that when I use the offset tool, they won't be stuck together. I made them a little group. Now I moved the originals, erase that, and I'm going to change these just for editing purposes here in the demonstration. I'm going to change them to blue. But what I would do is go through the entire cut file, doing the same process, pick the colors I want to cut, and leave it in my library. I might call it PE Splash Zone with backings. So let's see how that looks in action. You've got all your backing pieces you learned how to make. I moved them over the cut file, which in the case of today's inspiration, I cut out of white AC cardstock. And I moved the cut file in front, and you can see how they fall neatly behind. And this is where I would choose the color I want to cut them from based on the paper collection that I'm using. And in my inspiration today, I used Paige's gorgeous Blooming Wild, which is bright and happy and perfect for your summer memories. So, we haven't done the entire backing of the cut file, but you get an idea. When you move your cut file out of the way, you can actually move all the colored orange, pink, yellow, whichever colors you chose, together on the mat for cutting, and you'll be able to see exactly what size of paper you need to cut it from. And sometimes I move them so they fit nicely together, and collect them on the mat, and then I'll turn on the grid so that I can see exactly what size I'm going to cut my paper from. And I apologize, the grid is hard to see when you do a screen video, but you get the idea. So part 2, making the shaker box. When I decided on the shaker box, I knew it'd be hard to shape the foam behind this title, so I did it all with paper, and this is how. So let's go back and work on the mat that we started with. I'm going to erase any leftover bits that are left behind and just use the letters from inside the cut file that spells Splash Zone. And these are the 3 items that I made with those letters. I'm going to start with this yellow piece. I actually cut it from white AC cardstock, but it's easier to see in a color in this video, so it's yellow. And I grouped the letters on the lower part of the mat. They're from the cut file. And I'm going to offset them at 0.110 so that the letters are blending together and making one big piece. And that's the piece that is the bottom of the shaker box that I used in my inspiration today. So the second thing I want to show you is how I made the acetate pieces for each letter that hold in the sequence in the shaker box. And I used acetate that is specifically for the Cameo, but you could also find it for Cricut. It's the exact same product. So let's group the letters we've been working with. They're from inside the cut file, the phrase splash zone, and the blue piece on top is what we're going to create. So we're going to offset those letters by 0.100. Move the letters so we can use them again for the third piece. And I just made them a blue color so that they kind of looked like acetate, clear pieces that will be glued on top of the shaker box to hold in the sequence. So that's the second piece of the shaker box. So let's move those letters back onto the mat. So far we've used them twice. Just with different offset measurements, you can make different pieces for the shaker box. So I just moved over an S to show you what we're going to create. We're going to create an outline of each letter, and these outlines are going to form our box sides instead of using foam. So I offset them at 0.095, and then I'm going to make each one individually a compound path. So I'm going to do the S, P, and L and show you the difference. See, the A, S, and H are not yet a compound path. When you do that, the two lines become a cut file and create an outline of the letters, which I actually cut 9 of each. 8 are glued together under the acetate, and then the last one is glued on top of the acetate so I could more easily glue the shaker box to the layout, like paper to paper. So just to share a few photos that's a little more meaningful, here's my letters lined up on the mat, and I took out the center and you're left with these outlines, and I glued 8 outlines of each letter together in sets of 4. It seemed easier to me. And then I glued that outline onto the background, which was our yellow cut file in the video Cameo tutorial. And once you have that, you'll put in all your sequins and glue your acetate on top. That was the acetate cut file that I made. There's the background, and the top one shown in orange is the outline. So if you have any questions, please leave them in comments below. I'm always happy to help you. And here comes a few close-ups of my project. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.